These are the actions of Mr. Duffy and Mr. Wright. That's not what only the entire caucus thought and I thought. That is what the vast majority of our staff also believed was the case.
Stephen Harper blames two men for this scandal. But emails from Mike Duffy's trial show in early 2013, others in the Prime Minister's office knew at least in part about the ballooning problem of Duffy's expenses. Let's look at what those emails tell us about who knew what. Starting with Nigel Wright. He was the Prime Minister's chief of staff. His job was to make this problem go away and to protect the Prime Minister. Wright helped craft the talking points used by Conservatives dealing with the media and figured out a plan to pay Duffy's problematic expense claims, ultimately providing that infamous $90,000 himself. Benjamin Perrin, the Prime Minister's lawyer. He started looking at income tax laws as a way of arguing Duffy really was a resident of the place he was representing in the Senate, Prince Edward Island. When that didn't work, he negotiated a deal with Duffy's lawyer. Ray Novak, at the time Principal Secretary for the Prime Minister, responsible for the day-to-day running of the Prime Minister's affairs. There is no one personally closer to Stephen Harper than Novak. In the emails, Duffy reaches out to Novak, panicked, insisting he's being unfairly blamed. "Ray, I am cooked," Duffy writes. Novak tries to calm him, saying Nigel Wright has a plan. "We can put a communication strategy around repayment that I think will work." Novak is included on several emails between Perrin and Wright, including one critical email in which Wright says, "I will send my check on Monday." Novak was also scheduled to participate on a conference call with the two and Duffy's lawyer. The Conservatives now suggest Novak gets a lot of emails, that this didn't register. And there's been contradictory claims at Duffy's trial about whether or not Novak was on that conference call.
I'm not aware of his participation in any conference call, any of that. Mr. Novak learned about this at the same time the Prime Minister did. That's when it happened.
After Wright lost his job over the Duffy affair, Novak became Harper's chief of staff. David Van Hemmen, Nigel Wright's executive assistant. He personally ensured Wright's money was delivered to Duffy's lawyer. Patrick Rogers was the manager of parliamentary affairs. Part of his job, keeping caucus in line. The emails show Rogers scrambling to keep senior Conservative senators on board with the PMO's plan. He's also keeping an eye on whether one senator can convince auditing firm Deloitte to pull back on their Duffy investigation. Chris Woodcock handled issues management. His job is essentially political damage control. He was heavily involved in the PMO's plan to control what senior Conservative senators said publicly about Duffy. He also drafted an early plan for a statement in which Duffy would say he was repaying any expenses he might have improperly charged.
You certainly don't hold subordinates responsible for the actions of their superiors. These are the two people who are responsible, and they are being held accountable.
Many of the others caught up in the Duffy affair soon moved on. On that list, only Ray Novak still works directly with Stephen Harper. Catherine Cullen, CBC News, Ottawa.